Hi everyone, welcome back to my number sense series. In this video, we're going to talk about how to convert percentages to fractions. So this is a very common thing that you're going to see on number sense, and most often they're going to give you something like 26 and 2/3%, but sometimes they're also going to give you something easier like 52%. So today we are going to go over just how to convert any percentage, whether it be integer or mixed number, into a fraction. The important thing to realize is that a percentage is a fraction. It is a fraction because cent as a prefix means like 100, right? So percent means over 100. For example, this is actually just 52 over 100. So if I asked you to convert this into a fraction, all you would have to write is 52 over 100 and then simplify it, of course. Simplified, you would get 26 over 50 equals 13 over 25. But really, a percentage is already a fraction. It just means sometimes we have to alternate the denominator a little bit if we have a non-integer percentage. For example, 12.5%. We can't just write 12.5 over 100, okay? We can't do that because that is not a valid fraction, right? A fraction should have an integer on the top and the bottom. So how can we convert this into a valid fraction? Well, what we can do is notice 12.5 is actually 25 over 2. If you want to look at it as a mixed number, you can say 12.5 equals 12 and a half. And this is going to be like 24 over 2 plus 1 over 2, which is 25 over 2. So this is really just 25 over 2 over 100. And if you multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2, you'll get 25 over 200. But of course, this can also be simplified, and it actually simplifies to 1/8. If you have 1/8 memorized as either a decimal or a percentage, this is actually going to be very easy for you because this is just 1/8. But if you don't have it memorized, this is how you can do it. Now for a more complicated example, this is something that you might actually see on a test. Like, this, and this, these are things you could see on a real number sense test in maybe question 30-ish, 30, 40. 6 and 2/3%. Once again, this is a fraction. It is a fraction with the denominator 100, but we can't just write it as 6 and 2/3 over 100, right? This isn't a valid fraction. So what can we do? What we have to do is convert 6 and 2/3 into an improper fraction first, and then we can treat the over 100 part as just dividing that fraction by 100. So what is 6 and 2/3? Once again, that's just 18 over 3 plus 2 over 3 over 100, which is 20 over 3 over 100, which is just going to be 20 over 300, which is actually 1 over 15. So you can see sometimes these very simple fractions or simple looking fractions can actually show up as weird looking percentages. But if you use these strategies, they're going to be very easy to convert into fractions. Basically just more of the same with these. For example, 26 and 2/3. Now what's that? Well, one thing we could do is actually say, wait, that's just 1 over 5 plus 1 over 15. But if you haven't done that before, what we can do is say this is 26 and 2/3 over 100. Now, basically, if we multiply the top and the bottom by 3, or in other words, change this into a mixed number, into an improper fraction and divide by 3, what we're going to get is, well, what's 26 and 2/3 times 3? That's 26 times 3 plus 2/3 times 3, which is 78 plus 2, which is 80. It's 80 over 300, which is going to be just 4 over 15. And notice that if you did, this is 20% plus 6 and 2/3%, which is 1 over 15, you would have gotten 1 over 5 plus 1 over 15, which is actually also 4 over 15. So there's a few different ways to do this problem, but it is also kind of dependent on your prior knowledge about these percentages and fractions. Okay, last problem, basically more of the same type of problem. 4 and 2/7%. Well, once again, we just convert this into a improper fraction, right? 4 and 2/7, that equals 28 over 7 plus 2 over 7 equals 30 over 7. So if we divide this by 100, what we're going to get is 30 over 700. These zeros cancel, and our final answer is 3 over 70. And if you remember our lesson on what numbers over 7 are, you might recognize that this is 4.2857%, which is, lines up with that. So that is a very, very quick video on just how to convert percentages into fractions. And really it's pretty easy because a percentage already is a fraction. It's just sometimes you have to do a little bit more work. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.